tutorial series of Stellaris. So this will be a tutorial series that'll eventually move into a Let's Play, but at least for the first 5 episodes or so, it's going to be completely tutorial where I'll teach you everything you need to know to get started in the game. Alright, so let's go ahead and jump on in. We're going to go ahead and start a new game. And we're going to create a new character. Let's go ahead and go over here. Okay, so first things you see here in the new character is going to be your species, your homeworld, your empire. Alright, so we're going to start off with the species and appearance, where we will pick an appearance that we want for our species. So we have all the humanoids. I am playing with all the DLC packs. Machines. Mammalians. Reptilians. Avians. Anthropoids. Molluscoids. Fungoids. And plantoids. Those are all the different species. But we are just going to keep it simple. We're just going to pick a simple human. Yeah, let's just keep it very simple for this Let's Play. So, next, you get to pick your species name. Let's go with Assassinator. Sounds good to me. Adjective, we can generate Assassinatorin. And plural. Assassinators. Now, I'm not going to worry too much about a biography, but if you did want to write your own biography for your race, you certainly can do that. So next is going to be the name list. Alright, so now what this is whenever you get a new leader, new ship, fleet, or planet, it'll generate names from this list. And you can pick from a different set of lists that you want it to generate names from. So if you want to be humans and you want the computer to generate machine names, you could do that. If you want to be human and have them generate an avian names, then that's perfectly fine. You can also go in and manually change names of every person, ship, fleet, planet, however you find fit. And I'll show you that later on in the tutorial. Okay, so let's just go ahead and pick humanoid 2. Why not? Seems simple enough. So next is the meat and potatoes of your race. Okay. And this is where we haven't gotten into this part yet. Whoops. Okay, so the meat and potatoes of your race. This is where you get to pick the traits that your race has. Okay, so we have agrarian, ingenious, and industrious. All right, these three, as you can see, food from jobs, 15%. Energy credit from jobs, 15%. And minerals from jobs, 15%. So these are going to be your 3 basic currencies in the game. We'll go more in depth in those later on in the game. From there, we have your intelligence. Now, you have your engineering, physics, and society. All these are research. So how fast you research technologies in the game is what this would affect. Okay. Now, thrifty is your trade value from your jobs when trading with other races. Now, your natural engineers, natural physicists, and natural sociologists are just a more specific type of research. As you can see up here, if we go back to intelligence, this only gives 10% to all 3, or you can specialize in one to get that extra 5%, or 1 or 2. Or I suppose you could do all 3. How this works is you have trait points and picks. So you can only have 5 skills top, but this has to be 0. As you can see, some of these are green, meaning they'll go with a -2. Some of them are red for positive too. So you just mix and match these till your trait points left is 0 and your trait picks are 0. Okay. So next, we have extremely adaptive and adaptive. So this is your habitability for each world. Each world set for a certain habitability. You'll have your home world, which is what your race is going to be most able to live on. And for each other type of world, will change your habitability, and how great your society is at adapting to those extremes is based off your habitability. So you have adaptive and you have extremely adaptive. Next is non-adaptive. This is if you don't, adapt well to other environments. Rapid breeders, how fast your population grows. Slow breeders, how fast your population grows. Obviously, this one slows it down and this one will speed it up. Talented, leader level cap 1. So that raises your level cap of your leader by 1. Quick learners, leaders experience 25%. So they gain more experience, is all that is. Slow learners, they'll gain less experience. Immunity is another type of currency you spend on your your national focus type thing, which we will definitely get into that. So one gives you plus 10%, while the other one gives you minus 10%. Very strong and strong correlates to your army damage. So the strong will give you a 20% to army damage, while very strong gives you 40% to army damage. But this is not for your ships. This is just for your armies when you go to land on the planet for ground-to-ground combat. This also improves your worker basic resource output. So that the basic resource output's just your minerals and stuff like that you would work on the planet. Okay, weak is the exact opposite, where you get minus 20% to your army damage. Nomadic, pop growth from immigration plus 15%, and resettlement cost minus 25%. So your pop growth from immigration is, when other cultures decide to immigrate to you and how fast they do that. And resettling on other worlds would cost less. Sedentary is the exact opposite. Pop growth from immigration minus 15%, resettlement costs plus 25%. Communal, pop housing usage. So I believe that's their overall goods that they use is going to be minus 10%. While solitary is going to be up 10%. Charismatic, amenities from jobs plus 20%, and repugnant amenities from jobs minus 20%. Governing ethics attraction plus 30%, while deviance is governing ethics attractions minus 15%. Vulnerable, leader lifespan plus 80 years. So that's actually pretty huge, especially if you want that single leader to, rule over for quite a long time. Enduring leader lifespan 20 years. Fleeting minus 10 years. Let's see, decadence. Workers' happiness is minus 10 and slave happiness is minus 10. While resilience, defense army damage is going to be 50%. So your defense army damage is going to be when they invade your planet. That is your army that'll defend against them. It's actually not a bad one. Conservative is going to be pop consumer goods upkeep. So what you have to pay to keep up the consumer goods is going to be down 10%, while wastefulness will be up by 10%. That's going to be your basic traits for your race. So now I'm going to kind of give you an idea of how this works. For the human race, we want to make them intelligent, which is going to be great for learning overall all the science or all the research. Let's go ahead and As you can see, trait points left 0, trait picks 4. So we could still pick 4 more. But we're gonna... You know what? I'm okay with slow breeders down by 10%. Let's go ahead and do that. So now how that went back up to 2. I want resilience and enduring. You know what? We're gonna get rid of enduring. Let's go with thinking we'll go with more energy credits. Now that went to a -1. And that's okay because all we have to do is just pick one of these. Slow learners. Now we're at 0 to 0. See that? And then these are our traits for our race. Okay. So let's go ahead and hit next. Now we're going to do the homeworld class. So you remember I was talking about the habitability? This is what this affects. You have your dry worlds, you have your wet worlds, and you have your frozen worlds. In the dry ones, you have your desert world, you have your arid world, and your savanna world. In wet, you have your ocean world, continental world, which is pretty much just like Earth, and your tropical world. In frozen, we have an Arctic world, we have an alpine world, and a tundra world. So we are going to just start with continental just to keep this completely classic. Now you get to pick your home world name, and of course we're just going to keep everything to what we know. Star name, and then your starting solar system, which if I remember right, yep, the solar system. So we could start right at home just to keep everything right at home. So now your next is your city appearance. So this is just purely cosmetic on, you know, what you want your backdrop to look like. So we'll just keep humanoid. Okay, so now these are your governing ethics. This is where things get a bit complicated because this is for your government and how your people perceive, you know, the other races. So right here in the center we have Gestalt consciousness, which is more like your hive mind. If you ever seen Star Trek or the Borg, that is what this is. The hive mind, one consciousness. Your leader doesn't die from this. You cannot use democratic, oligarchic, dictatorial, or imperial authority rulers, or imperial authority. Rulers are immortal, and native pops are not affected by happiness and will not join factions. Native pops cannot survive out or in a non-Gauss consciousness empire. Can use the no retreat war doctrine. So yeah, essentially that is just its own type of, you know, government. Like I said, if you've ever seen Star Trek or the Borg, this is what that is, a hive mind. You also have this one right here, which is machine intelligence, which would fall under that category as well too, if you wanted to do a completely machine race build. So this is machine intelligence, and leaders are immortal, of course. Machine pops do not grow, but are built. Non-machine pops must be assimilated, enslaved, or purged, and has access to special machine technologies. Cannot research robot technologies, cannot follow psionic, biological, or synthetic ascension paths. Okay. So now let's pop over to the regular ones. We have spiritualists and fanatic spiritualists. So each one of these has a more potent version of them. So from spiritualists, this affects your unity and your edict cost when you're setting like laws within your own worlds and whatnot. So you can build temples, but you cannot use full AI rights with this policy. So if you're doing something with machines, not even if you're going all machines, but you can't have machines as slaves or workers, they cannot become free while under this. They can't have rights. You can only use them as slaves. Okay, then you have your militarist, which is pretty much as it sounds. You know, you get ship fire rate, which is increased, and a claim influence cost, which is decreased. And then, of course, you have a more powerful one, and you can use a no retreat doctrine, which pretty much means you just keep mauling them until they're completely squashed. Okay, so from here we got xenophobes. Your xenophobes are just pretty much where you don't like other races. You can enslave them, you can purge them. They cannot get full citizenships. They can have full military access. They are beneath you. You are superior to them, and you just really don't like them. And of course, there is a more fanatic version of that, which give you a bigger decrease to starbase influence costs and pop growth. So, egalitarian. These are more for your diplomatic type players. Allows utopian living standards, which is just a better living for everybody. But you do embrace, a bigger government style. And for the fanatic one, you must have a democratic government. Let's see, materialists. These are people who do like machines, who do want to use robots for different things, as far as farming and building and whatnot. Then you got your pacifists, which are people who just don't like wars. You can't use unrestricted wars. You can't do indiscriminate orbital bombardment. Administrative capacity is up 10, and your stability is up 5. Okay, next we got xenophiles, people who do like other aliens. You get an increased opinion for other species. Cannot use no refugee species policy. You cannot enslave entire species and cannot displace aliens. And of course, this is a more fanatic version of that. Authoritarian, that's more your dictatorship style of government, where it's just a smaller body ruling over. Allows for a stratified economy living standards, can enslave aliens, and cannot use democratic government forms. And you have your more fanatic version of that, which increases your monthly influence and your worker basic resource output. So for this style of government, we will be going fanatic. Now, these do have points on them, as you could see. You have 3 points, right? The inside costs 3. If you went Gestalt consciousness, that one will cost you 3. Then the next one's out. All these will cost you just 1 point. So you can have 3 of these active at any time. And the red ones cost you 2 points. So you can have 1 of those and another one. So we will be going completely democratic. And we will go materialist. That seems like, the United States for the most part, I hope. So we have to have a democratic style government. That's because the fanatic egalitarian requires you to have a democratic style government. Alright. So now this gives us faction influence gain 50%, specialist output plus 10%. With this one, we get robot upkeep minus 10% and research speed plus 5%. That research speed is really good. You get 10% with this one. Let's see, we could go like this. Under this style government, holds an election every 20 years to select a new ruler. That's 10 years. Corporate. Oh, this is if we want to become money driven. This is from the Mega Corporation expansion. Okay, Empire Sprawl penalty, 50%. Corporate governments are organized as a massive commercial enterprise that has completely supplemented the role of the state. That's interesting. I'll have to try that one out. I haven't played with the Mega Corporation expansion yet. So for simplicity, we will just keep it at regular democratic democracy. And we will hold an election every 10 years. So we are a direct democracy. Democratic governments have regular elections where all citizens can vote on who should represent them. Now over here we have civics, right? We get 2 civics. We have 2 points. Later on in the game, I do believe you can get 1 or possibly 2 more civics. So now if these are grayed out right here, that means we do not have the right government type to get these. So these are just extra abilities to help support our government type. So Beacon of Liberty, which adds monthly unity plus 15%. Byzantine Bureaucracy. Pop amenity usage, pop housing usage, can construct a bureaucratic complex. Buildings that add additional administrator jobs. Cutthroat politics, like what we're in today. Edicts cost 20% less. Let's see, efficient bureaucracy is administrative capacity plus 20. Environmentalist, pop consumer goods, down 10%. Functional architecture. Reduce building costs and upkeep for all buildings and districts by 10%. Now that's actually really good. It's really good. And we will probably be picking that one up. Idealistic Foundation. Citizens pop, happiness 5%. That one's pretty good too. You always want to keep your pops happy. Life seeded. Homeworld is a Gaia world size 25. With several rare planetary feature habitabilities. Gaia world making other types of planets undesirable. No, we don't really want to do that. Mechanists, robot upkeep minus 5. Starting the game with 8 pops being robots. And with the technology and infrastructure to build more. See, now that sounds good for our type of government that we have. Minus 20% to robot upkeep. This is another 5%. So we get 25% less to robot upkeep. Merchant guilds. That's not bad. Okay. So I think the Mechanist is going to be another one that'll complement our government type. So let's go ahead and hit next. Advisor's Voice. So based on government.
Boundless horizons. Endless learning opportunities, bleeding edge discoveries, limited legroom.
Wow, that's interesting.
Boundless horizon.
Pacifist module failing. Your breathing is so loud. It's driving me insane. Initiating count to 10 protocol. 1, 2, 3, not working. Reboot.
That was very interesting. So let's see, we will
have equality, liberty, and justice for all. Or so I've been told. I'm just a robot.
I like that. I think that fits us. Okay, so now our empire name. What are we going to call our empire? Our race are called assassinators, although an empire name of assassinator would be nice. But let's go ahead and random name this. Assassinators Commonality. League of Earth. Assassinators Democratic Worlds. You know what? I like it. So let's go next on that. Now you get to design your flag. This little piece right here. You got blocky, domination, human. There's a bunch to play around with here. Very much so like almost any other game where you have a flag decoration type. There's a lot to mess around with. And I like that. So now ship appearance. Here's where your ships will look like when you build them. Humanoid ships right here. That's what the humanoid ships looks like. Plantoid, mammalians, reptilians, avian, musculoids, fungoids, and arthropods. But we will keep it simple and keep a humanoid ship. And now we get to mess with our ruler. This one right here, whether we want a male or female, we're going to go with male. Name. Vimas Wek. Sounds good enough. Ruler's title, Chancellor. We'll go with President. Air title. There's no air title. And now you get to do a little bit of customization. It's not too much, but there is some. Let's do... I like that one. There we go. Now that looks like a president. Alright, and I do believe that is it for starting your own character. So this is going to be the Assassinator, and we are part of the Assassinators Democratic Worlds. You know what? We will go back real quick and change the species name because I just don't like that. Let's see what we can randomly. Zelvin. Our species name will be Zelvin of the Assassinators Democratic Worlds. Alright, and now we will go ahead and save this. Now we're going to click done. Okay, let's go ahead and just set this up. We're going to do a medium, large. We'll do medium. So you got your size medium, galaxy shape, elliptical, spiral with 2 arms, spiral with 4 arms, a ring, and that's about it. So we are going to go with spiral with 2 arms because I like that. AI Empires 9, Advanced AI Starts 2, Fallen Empires 2, Marauder Empires 2, Tech Tradition Costs, Habitable Worlds, Primitive Civilizations, Crisis Strength, Mid-Game Start Year 2300, End Game Start Year 24, Victory Year is 25, Difficulty is Ensign. Let's see, with the different ranks we have: Captain, Commodore, Admiral, Grand Admiral, Cadet, Ensign. So, Ensign seems about good. It's a good difficulty so I can teach and play. Scaling difficulty is off. Now, if you did want them to scale with you, you would just go ahead and pop that on, and they would get more difficult based on how you play. AI aggressiveness is normal. Empire placement, clusters. So this will cluster all the empires. So this way you can, you have to, it's a way to start the game a lot quicker. The advanced neighborhoods off. Hyperlane density is just one, normal. Abandoned gateways, wormholes, guaranteed habitable worlds, 2. So there's at least 2 guaranteed habitable worlds. Carabineers are on. Iron Man mode is off. We can go ahead and turn that on. All right, let's go ahead and play it. All right, so we got it all started up. For right now, we are going to go ahead and end this episode, and I will pick this up in the next episode where we will discuss what all these tabs and all this stuff means. Okay? If you like the episode, go ahead and, subscribe and hit that like button. If you have any comments, questions, remarks, go ahead and leave that down below in the comment section. And I will see you guys another time.